What's up, co-reporters? Welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on this week's episode of 90 Day Fiance, The Last Resort. So we're going to get into one of the most stunning moments of the episode, which for me was Jovi accusing Yara of being controlling for simply being on birth control because she's not ready to have any more children, okay? But of course, that comes a little bit later on in the episode. So let's pick back up from the very top. At the very top of the episode, we've got the confrontation between Kelly and Big Ed still happening in the hot tub after Kelly in last week's episode called Ed out for just always desiring to be the complete center of attention. And Ed is very defensive about it, which, is of course, I feel like if someone said that to me, I would be defensive about it as well. I don't think anyone would ever really take something like that, in stride, because it's something and especially if it's told in front of everybody, it could be a little bit humiliating. So I do understand why Ed felt like the way that he did. And but I was okay with that up until we get to the moment where he calls Kelly a bitch again. And I'm like, Kelly, he doesn't like that. And even if he didn't tell you he didn't like being called a bitch, why do you as a grown man call anybody that? It's just such a derogatory way to speak to people. It's rude and it's just nasty. And I don't understand it. So in the middle of this, Angela was trying to keep the calm between the two of them, defend Ed while still validating Kelly's feelings and everything. But it just doesn't work. And so Kelly decides to just leave with Molly. And it seems like they were bonding for the first time throughout this whole entire experience on the way back, as they both had each other's back and everything, until when he tells her that he's always going to have her back, and she just doesn't believe him. And then all hell breaks loose again. Now, speaking of Angela, she, after kind of trying to diffuse the situation, she gets into her own fight with Liz. And it's because Liz told her that she's always over speaking everybody. She never lets anybody speak and whatnot. And Angela goes ballistic on her because of that. And she just gets all up in her face and just all up, it was a lot. I felt like she was trying to physically intimidate her, which to me is never cool. Lord, I don't know. And I felt like that's something that she does to Michael a lot too. Thankfully for Michael, he doesn't have to be there to experience it in person, but this is one of Angela's MO, especially when she was bigger. I noticed that when people are bigger, either horizontally or vertically, they do try to when they get into a fight and they're aggressive people, because this is not every tall or wider person. But if they have that on their advantage and then they're aggressive, they will do this, get all up in your space. And I really, really can't stand that. But then we get to Kalani. So Kalani, they're still stretching out this hall pass situation. The first two episodes, I was like, all right, it's great. We're getting to the nitty gritty of it. And then she already said that she would block this guy's number for Asuelu. But in episode 3, the fact that we're still on, will she or won't she block the number? I was like, come on, just block the number and get it over with. We don't need to set up another scene to discuss the situation that we already heard about in episode 1, then again in episode 2, and do the thing that you already told us you were going to do in episode 2. It felt like overkill, and I was really starting to get irritated with their storyline at that point. But finally, Kalani does actually go ahead and end up blocking that man's number. But listen, a block is not permanent. She can always go back and unblock him, which I'm pretty sure she most likely did. So I don't buy it that much. Now, let's get into Yara and what's this guy? Jovi. I almost called him Jovi and then Javi. I'm like, oh, where's my brain going? So Yara and Jovi are sitting down talking to each other, and he's rather upset with her for talking about their relationship problems in front of the group during group therapy, which I found to be rather ridiculous. When they both agreed to join this show, sign up, complete casting, go on the trip, arrive at the resort, they knew that it was a couples retreat to help mend broken relationships, and that they would be participating in group therapy and everything. And not only that, but Jovi said so himself in the first episode that he was looking forward to participating in this because it's going to teach him to open up more in front of other people. So the fact that he could turn around and chastise Yara for doing exactly that, insane. He's like, you should have told me about it first, what you were going to say. No, the whole point of this is that I feel safer talking to you about certain things in therapy than one-on-one, head-to-head. So then he gets a little bit crazy here, or I would like to say off his rocker, where he accuses Yara of being controlling. And I don't even remember why this came up. I think he was mad at something else. And then he's like, well, you want to control everything. You want to control, being on birth control, our family planning, this, that, and the other. Whether we get an apartment in Europe. And I'm like, dude, like, what are you talking about? Like, why does she have to like negotiate whether or not she can get on birth control with you? She's not ready to have a kid. She's got no intention of birthing one through her body because that's the only way you guys will have a child. Why can't she just, as a grown ass woman in charge of her own body, go ahead and sign up for that birth control? Like, why would she need to get your permission for that? I really, truly do not understand. And I don't understand on what planet it is considered controlling for a woman to be on birth control and take control of her own reproductive health. Like, she's not telling Jovi that they'll never have another child. She's just like, not right now. And so obviously, if she means it, she's going to take precautions to prevent it. Just like, you know what I think it is? Men, they say these things all the time. They'll be like, oh, I don't want to have a kid. Meanwhile, they're banging all these women raw and they've got all these baby mamas and whatnot. So they act like you can just say something but act in a completely opposite manner. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like foreign to some men, I guess, that like when you say you don't want kids, you can go ahead and take precautions to make sure that you don't have kids. Like, something about it is just so strange to me, but I digress. So now we get to Ed and Liz popping back up in their room on this retreat, and they start confronting each other. Well, it's mainly Ed going in on Liz. He's like, listen, my whole life I've been picked on. Nobody's ever defended me. But while we're in this hot tub, guess who defends me? Not my fiance, but Angela. Angela defended me. So guess what, Liz? You deserve for her to get up all in your face screaming. I was like, jaw on the freaking floor. I cannot imagine my man telling me that I deserved for a woman to be all up in my face, trying to physically intimidate me, screaming at me and whatnot over my relationship. I don't understand why Angela was so bothered and emotionally invested in their relationship and whether or not Liz defends Ed. It's none of her business, just like it's none of my business. I don't care if Liz defends Ed or not. I actually like that she's not like bending over backwards for this guy who's constantly putting himself in bad situations. I don't think, and I like that Liz said it, I don't think that Ed deserved to be defended. He did it himself. No one told him to call that guy a bitch. And that guy already was nice enough to warn him not to do it. And he did it again on purpose. So what am I going to defend? Right? And it was very mean of Ed to say that to Liz as well, that like she deserves everything that happened to her, which was, to be accosted and whatnot and harassed. Totally not cool. This guy is terrible. I really don't understand how he pulls women. I'm trying to figure out like one thing that is like appealing about him, and I just cannot find it. So after her confrontation with Liz, Angela wants to blow off some steam. And after his confrontation with Yara, Jovi wants to blow off some steam. So it turns out that the two of them got lit. Unfortunately, we never got any kind of footage of this. I'm looking at the producers the way Jovi's looking at Yara in that photo, by the way, for not giving me that damn footage. And so it turns out that they got so drunk that at about 2 a.m, while Yara was sleeping in her bed, they like are knocking through the glass door, like, wake up, wake up. Jovi comes inside through the front while Angela is on their patio, insisting that Yara get dressed, wake up, and go to the bar with them. And so Yara is so upset. And she says she's hurt that he did that. I find her so adorable. Oh my God, she's so cute. I love the way she like articulates her emotions. So she's like, I was so hurt that you would do that. You would bring another woman here at 2 a.m. And then she accuses him of having a drinking problem. I don't know too much about Jovi. So if you guys like watched his season of 90 Day, please do let me know if you suspect him as well of having a drinking problem. But I did see him drinking that champagne from the Magnum bottle, which means gigantic, all by himself with no glass or anything like that. And I did find that to be rather peculiar. And the behavior there at 2 a.m., as she says that it's very like normal for him to go off drinking when they fight. So I'm like, okay, like the stuff is looking like maybe there's some stuff going on there that I am not yet privy to. So she does start like bawling her eyes out and accusing him of being an alcoholic. She's saying he needs rehab, which is serious, you guys. And I wonder if that's something that we're going to explore as the season progresses, Jovi's drinking habits and whatnot, because to me it would be wild if somebody who cannot control their drinking and already has a child that they should have straightened up for is demanding another child, right? It's like, well, why don't you get your drinking problem alleged drinking problem, because I don't know if he has one, in order, and then we can talk about having another kid, right? Now, remember how Ed told Liz that she deserved to be like harassed and accosted by Angela? Guess what? The healing team of therapists and whatnot at the retreat do not believe so. And so they said one of them sits down with Angela to confront her about what went down. And Angela like didn't see at all what she did wrong and said that she's sick of Liz constantly playing the victim. And so far, I haven't seen that. I felt like in that situation, Liz was just standing back, letting the two men fight. And then Angela wanted to like put herself in the middle of all of it when it wasn't her business. She is not with Kelly, just like she's not with Ed. So it made no sense that she like, got herself involved. If anything, maybe Molly and Liz could have gotten involved if that's what they wanted to do. But I just don't. I don't understand why Angela got in this situation, got herself burned, and now is like, oh my God, Liz is playing the victim. Because no, at the end of the day, you're just someone who wants to be like a hero or whatnot. And she wasn't playing that with you. So speaking of Liz, she decides to go ahead and call her mom about Ed. And it felt like the way she was crying to her mom, like Ed was her like big brother or something, and she wanted her mom to get him together. I was like, oh Lord, I have never called my mom crying about like any relationship of mine. Like, absolutely not. Like, no, that is none of her business. You know what I mean? And then she just gave so many details together. I'm like, honestly, I gotta ask people, unless like you've got like your BFF, like the people that you tell everything to. Some people like they go and tell too many people too many things. Like they'll go and tell all the trash about how this guy treats you like this, that, and the other. And then you go ahead and marry the guy, or you do this, or you do that, right? It's like you got to be a little bit more selective than that if you're going to stick with someone who treats you like this, in my opinion. So her mom does tell her to give Ed the cold shoulder, which I don't think is going to fix anything, to be honest with you. So I hope that Liz doesn't take that advice, because at the end of the day, they are here at their retreat to work on their relationships. And so she's going to have to keep bringing her problems with him to the table in order to see any kind of resolution. Like, this is free therapy, dude. Like, why would I give him the cold shoulder and ignore him, which does nothing, when I could just keep telling him the things that bother me about this relationship and about him, right? So at the end of the episode, Liz and Ed do ultimately end up making up, right? But Liz says that he's running out of chances. She doesn't say that to Ed, but she tells that to us. Like, if he keeps messing up, she is not going to go and marry him. So voila, we'll see how that plays out. Listen, I think that there's something wrong here. I think that there's a screw loose with Liz, so I don't think she's going to dump him. In fact, I actually think she's going to marry him. But we'll wait and see how that ultimately winds up playing out. In fact, I actually believe that I saw something that said that they got married yesterday on the 29th of August, 23rd, 2023. I'm just saying, it's just a rumor. I'm not one to gossip, so anyway, guys, what did you think about this week's episode of 90 Day Fiance, the final resort? Make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. As usual, we'll chat. That's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.